All right, guys, I have some quote unquote sad news, right? Maybe just sad for me because, I'm just really into politics like that. But, Matt Gaetz apparently is thinking about early retirement and taking a job at Newsmax, right? And I am super disappointed to hear this, okay? And the reason why is because Matt Gaetz has become one of my favorite Republicans, right? He's young, libertarian, populist. That's the way he describes himself. Firebrand, right? Who, has some very strong opinions. A lot of whom I agree with. I like a lot of his policy positions, which I'll get into a little bit later in this video. But at the end of the day, I really do think that Republicans need more politicians in the party like Matt Gaetz. Okay, at the end of the day, and I think it's sad that somebody like him with so much potential, is considering leaving politics, right? At least elected office. So let's read a little bit more here and kind of break down what might be going on. Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida has privately told Confidants he's seriously considering not seeking re-election and possibly leaving Congress early for a job at NewsMax. Three sources with direct knowledge of the talks tell Axios. Why it matters. Gaetz is a provocative figure on the right who's attracted attention by being a fierce defender of former President Trump. The Republican also represents a politically potent district on the Florida panhandle. Gaetz has told some of his allies he's interested in becoming a media personality and floated taking a role at Newsmax. One of the sources said Gaetz has had early conversations with the network about what a position could look like. Many Republicans turned to the network after Fox News called Arizona early for President Biden. Some critics say Fox is not conservative enough for their taste, providing an opening for Newsmax in the One America News Network, OANN. Gaetz has previously toyed with the idea of running for higher office. All right, so Matt Gaetz is looking at basically doing what I'm doing, commenting on politics, right? But, overall, I'm not really a fan of this. And the reason why is because, like I told you guys, I really like Matt Gaetz, okay? And I really like his policy positions. I like the fact that he stands up to the establishment, right? And that he's went out of his way to get rid of some of the establishment neocons, right? Like Liz Cheney, who probably should be kicked out of the party. Those are the ones that should be retiring, okay? So, he's been very anti-war, right? He's been on the right side of the issue when it comes to legalization, right? He's sworn off money in politics, right? He's very strong in his opposition of illegal immigration. He opposes sanctuary cities. He also has a very strong pro-gun platform. I think he actually is an advocate for open carry. And one of the other things I really, really like too is that, in January 2017, he went from the stance that we need to completely abolish the EPA to, in November 2017, joining a bipartisan climate solutions caucus, right? In which he is quoted as saying, "I don't think there's a scientific debate left to be had on if it's happening. I also think history is going to judge very harshly climate change deniers, and I don't want to be one of them." He said he advocated technological innovation and economic incentives that address climate change and increase federal funds for global warming research by NASA, NOAA, and universities, but remain opposed to increased environmental regulation. So that to me, right, in terms of his position on climate change, right, he went from abolish the EPA and basically also saying that, he was basically saying that he doesn't think climate change is man-made, to basically saying that, hey, you know what? I done my homework. I done my actual research. It's real, right? And it's man-made. And we probably should do something about it, right? Or at the very least, prepare for it, okay? And it doesn't have to be the Green Deal. And that's literally exactly why I stand on that issue, right? It doesn't need to be the Green Deal, but we probably should take it seriously. And especially in a state like Florida, right? A state like Florida that, is probably going to, feel a lot of the effects of climate change. And these politicians know it, right? They definitely know it, okay? And the fact that he was willing to actually come out and admit it, right, tells me that he actually really does care about his people. He doesn't just care about, political partisanship. And the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, is also on the same page with it, as he has taken a position of, look, we, need to protect people because of the changes that may happen, but we don't necessarily need to crash our economy, right, or destroy jobs and businesses trying to push a Green New Deal, right? That's basically Ron DeSantis' position on this, right? And I think that is the Republican position. That should be the Republican position, right? Private sector solutions, right, and encouragement and innovation without necessarily having to do basically government mandated restructuring of the economy around green technology. That's, to me, is, not a viable position. And as much as the liberals like to cry about, oh, we need to reduce emissions, at the end of the day, even if we reduce our emissions to zero, we only make up 15% of the world's emissions. So even if we did that, it wouldn't make a difference. And there's no reason to crash our economy, and it's not even gonna make a difference, right? And we need more politicians like that, right? That are gonna think beyond the noise and say what actually needs to be said and tell the truth, right? In order to protect people, right? Okay. And that's the right position, right? That's the right position where the Republican Party should be. And again, Matt Gaetz is not afraid to buck the party trend. And at the end of the day, I think that Republicans need more Republicans like that, right? They need more Republicans that are pushing them to get on the right side of a lot of these issues like climate change and legalization of marijuana, okay? These are easy layups for conservatives, and it doesn't even go against any conservative principles, because to me, I don't know what's more conservative than trying to preserve the environment, right? I mean, Teddy Roosevelt was the king of that, and he was a Republican, okay? But the thing is, in order for that to happen, right, Matt Gaetz' most important position, right, which is his swearing off of money in politics, I think is what has to happen, right, in order for us to actually get more Republicans that think differently and actually have, new ideas to bring to the Republican Party, right? And again, this is why I really like Matt Gaetz, because I think we need more Republicans like him, okay? And at the end of the day, guys, in order to do that, because a lot of people ask me, how do you think, we can win, right? How can, the Republican Party make a comeback, right? And I think that at the end of the day, guys, what's going to have to happen is that we're going to have to get money out of politics. And the only way that that's going to happen is you're going to have to run candidates that do not take big corporate PAC money. That's just what you're going to have to do, right? The people are going to have to run a grassroots campaign to literally send representatives to Congress who really only have one job. And their one job is to enact legislation, right, to try to mitigate the influence of money in politics. Now, the progressives are already doing this, right, to a certain extent. And I think that if conservatives could get on the same page with progressives on this issue, they could build a bipartisan coalition in Congress, outside of the establishment, that could possibly actually tackle this issue. And guys, this is how I think what should happen would look like in real life. Take a look.
How do you explain how much you like this guy? You told me off camera. You and Matt get along.
We do get along. We work on common issues. We work to get PAC money out of politics. We both believe that lobbyists shouldn't be running this place. We both believe that we shouldn't be in foreign wars. Obviously, we disagree on issues, but we actually engage in dialogue, and we even hang out.
Congressman, I don't know if you know it, but Congressman Kohana did not, Ronna did not support Donald Trump, and you did. He supported Bernie Sanders. When did you realize you could still work with them, that you came into the same class and you can get some stuff done?
Brian, so many of the challenges we face in Washington don't just pit the red team against the blue team, they're generational challenges. How do we ensure that America defeats China to win in the 21st century? How do we build a technical working class of people able to survive? How do we ensure that we don't waste the blood and treasure of our country in wars in the Middle East? And what's unique about this political realignment that I think Donald Trump had something to do with, that Bernie Sanders had something to do with, is that you can actually actually have right-wing populists and left-wing populists working together.
Right.
And sometimes it is the establishment against the rest of us. Ro Khanna has made me a better congressman because he doesn't take money from lobbyists or PACs. Most members of Congress get most of their money from lobbyists, PACs, and special interests. Because of Ro's inspiration, I'm the only Republican who won't take any lobbyist or PAC money.
And I think a lot of times...
Let me return the compliment to Matt. When we were trying to end our involvement in Yemen, and when we were trying to make sure that we didn't get into Iran, Matt went against people in his own party, in his own leadership, to stop those wars. And if I was just trying to put together a coalition on the left, we would never have made the progress in Yemen. We would have never made the progress in stopping the intervention in Iran. So people said, why are you working with Matt Gaetz? I said, well, if you care about stopping wars overseas, look at what he's doing.
Right, absolutely. All right.
And as you can see there, guys, that is Matt Gaetz working with Ro Khanna, who's a progressive, on an issue that the populist right and the progressive left agree on, right? That's how it will work, okay? And in order for them to do that, again, we're going to need more Republicans like Matt Gaetz, okay? And, you know, I think that if that's something that can be accomplished, I think that we're going to see politics change for the better. I think we're going to actually hear these politicians have real views that they believe in, not just views that they've been paid to say. And we're going to have real politics again. Okay? Because, you know, to keep it 100 with you guys, a lot of these politicians, you can't believe anything they say, right? Because they're talking for their donors. They're not speaking from their own beliefs. They're speaking from the beliefs of their donors, right? And that's why you see somebody like Matt Gaetz, who, you know, has sworn off PAC money, basically bucked the trend in the Republican Party in regards to the position on climate change. Mitt Romney has also done the same thing. Okay? And, you know, that's what happens when you're not bought and sold by the oil industry, right? That's just what happens. Guys, and obviously this is true on both sides of the political aisle, right? Like, you know, we've seen how, you know, these teachers unions have spent on the Biden administration and how Biden has been slow to open up schools because of it. I mean, basically at the beginning of his presidency, he was damn near refusing to open up schools, right? Because the teachers unions bought them, right? They bought and sold them, right? And guys, I mean, we talk about stories all the time about how much, you know, our politics have been bought and sold in some way, right? So I'm just saying. And just during the 2020 election cycle, guys, Planned Parenthood donated basically $800,000 to Democrats. None to Republicans, all the Democrats. You know, we love to complain about big government and how all these bills are filled with pork. Well, who's writing these bills? Lobbyists, right? Lobbyists and special interest groups are writing these bills so they can get government funding for their projects and for their businesses and for the industries that they represent. That's just kind of how the game goes. Okay? You know? I mean, that's big government. That's big government. Money in politics influences big government. There's a strong conservative case that conservatives should be at the forefront of tackling this issue, right? If you're really for smaller government, you know, this issue is important. So to me personally, I am sad that he's considering retirement. I hope he doesn't do it. I hope he stays, right? Because I think we need more Republicans like him. He's, again, also a part of the coalition of, you know, those who, you know, back the President Trump's America First policies. And him being so young and energetic and willing to, you know, speak out on things, I think he would be a good asset as an elected official. But, you know, who knows? You know, he could, you know, maybe take that role up as a commentator on NewsMax and use that to launch a more, you know, prominent career in politics. So who knows? Anyways, that's just my opinion on that, guys. Let me know what you guys think about Matt Gaetz potentially retiring. Should he do it and join NewsMax, or should he stay? Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.